Oh, I was just gonna say, I know she's like right around the corner, so. We'll go ahead and get started with our work session. Work sessions are an opportunity for board members to discuss issues informally with the staff and invited guests. The board encourages members of the public to attend work sessions and listen to the discussion, but there is generally no opportunity for public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the board are welcome to do so during the board's regularly scheduled monthly meetings. For this work session, we have two topics, which are going to be events and rolling calendar and the strategic plan update.
Yes. Yeah, the agenda in the ethics training list, it's like number one.
Down to one.
Lane.
Wonder who that is.
As far as a calendar, so a couple of notes that I have on here. Tonight's obviously talking strategic plan, on February 18th, we've scheduled a time with the county board at one of their daytime work sessions, just to give them an update on the progress of the strategic plan. I don't think any of you all need to participate in that, but if you wanted to, it's all virtual. And it's just really updating them on the progress going along. Couple of other notes that I wrote on here after it. We want to start thinking rodeo and what days that those are gonna happen. I don't think we really want it to be on that Halloween weekend. But if there's a time frame that we're thinking about that, and I can reach out to them and see if there's dates that are going to be available. I mean, we're tied into his schedule a little and then some on what we already have booked. But getting that earlier the better.
On our calendar, would we be okay with November November 5th? Sorry, just kidding. That's it. No, I know. I'm on the wrong month here. Sorry, November 7th. That's how we all do. Perfect. This has my stuff in it though.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I put in there, yeah, potential possible clash of the Cowboys. What I think Dusty had said is that he wasn't gonna be available that week, because that's the Utah final that he's part of.
Okay.
Like October 10th is probably the most realistic day.
October?
Yeah. October, and then conventions that week, so. That's not.
And the 14th is a no-go then of November?
That's our 4-H recognition day.
And that's also like the week before or a couple weeks before NFR, pretty sure that they're all fully migrating and mobilizing all
That's
down,
3 weeks before NFR, yeah.
down that way.
Okay, I'll text him and talk to him. Okay.
And then later on, when we talk about fair planning, if we want to schedule a workshop to just talk about the fair and kind of do a kickoff on that, do a roundtable, I'll get on the same page sooner than later. And I'm not sure, again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but not sure if we want that to just be a fair board conversation to get started, or if we want to invite the groups that are involved with the fair to that initial meeting also. But one of the thoughts about whenever we want to do one of those joint group meetings with all of the folks involved, maybe we could set some time with the auction committee either before or after. We can kind of kick off a conversation about an MOU. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long conversation, but before we just start drafting something, it would be ideal to have face-to-face conversation with them.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that on the calendar. If there's anything that you all want to see on here, let me know.
For calendar, I know we're kind of talking about probably land and all of that maybe potentially later, but do you think there would be any possibility of having that area down there that we had a rodeo out there before.
Potentially, we had a permit issued for it in the past, and if it's not a motorized event, I mean, really, the motorized event is what we're constrained with our conditional use permit.
Okay,
I think if we wanted to explore a livestock event, that is viable, I mean, it was done in the past, just need to figure out what that looks like. The question is, I'm assuming you're talking during the fair.
I don't know yet. So I had conversations today that, our junior rodeo, association is not having a Long Beach rodeo.
Okay.
So what that means is we've got over 200 contestants that love to come down and participate in the Long Beach Junior Rodeo. They love to come to the coast and do their thing down here. I think it's a huge opportunity for us to jump on. I know a ton of people that are and would be super excited to help put that on and make it happen. I have reached out to two of the people that put on Oakville and Sumas junior rodeos to see overhead, cattle, all of that, to see if it's even doable, right? Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not just hiring a company to come in and make the show happen. With that being said, if we did it during the fair, it would be a huge hit. And I think a lot of people down there with kids that would be here for the fair would love all of the livestock stuff, but will also make it a jam up carnival.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of kids. And the vet, yeah, I mean, it would be ideal.
Yeah, if you want
So-
to set a time and you might kind of talk about what that would look like and you kind of do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Due diligence to see what
Mhm.
that comes to.
It just
I
kind of
think,
all came.
and I know
through
there was
today.
a company, I think Polk County gave me a contractor's name, I wanna say it was like Longhorn Productions or something like that,
Mhm.
or White Productions. That also does rodeos when we were talking about this last year about this time. And we were gonna fall back, they were on vacation and then we never connected again, because it was pretty clear we weren't gonna be able to swing it. My main concern would be us taking on having the carnival back and then also adding our rodeo and trying to.
Yeah.
Both of those things happen. I don't think it's impossible, but we wanna think about it
Yeah,
and figure out what that's gonna look like. But it could be some significant.
Parking is then, impacted, I'm assuming, is that where you'd be potentially?
We don't really park over there anyways,
yeah,
on that side.
Oh, okay, there's no parking.
I mean, there's a ton of field out there.
yeah. And all of the junior rodeo contestant, I mean, we like side by side, mush in like as close to the arena as we really can. So I don't think the parking would be too much of an issue because they're not bringing in extra vehicles. They're just truck trailered by the arena.
Maybe it's something, and I'm just thinking out loud here, like, depending on what week they would wanna do that, if it's like the 2 weeks before or something. And then maybe during the fair, we just do something that's like a full ride or, an event that happens.
Yeah.
Versus a full rodeo during the week of the fair, but let's look into it, see.
Yeah,
Is,
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
is it kind of like, it's not gonna happen this year if we don't do it? Like someone, like they lost 100% all of their privileges to do it where they're at, is that correct?
No, they have not lost their privileges. It's just, it's a lot to make happen. And if you don't have a group of people that are wanting to do it, it's not gonna happen.
Okay,
And so the group that is doing it in Long Beach are just burnt out
okay.
and they don't wanna do it.
I don't mean my blues privileges, I guess, but like, will it happen if it doesn't change? Like, if things don't change, it's still gonna happen this year, you think?
Is the rodeo over there gonna still happen? No, it's done.
Okay,
There's no one.
so the only way of making it happen is for someone else to bring it back,
Yeah.
basically.
Or last year we talked about this at the beginning of the voice.
I'm so sorry.
Last year we talked about this. But then all of a sudden they weren't available for some reason. Something else going on.
No, it wasn't that it wasn't available. What happened was last year when we talked about the junior rodeo piece, Long Beach actually decided way early on that they were gonna go ahead and do their rodeo. So I backed off a little bit because there'd be no point in doing another one in that time frame.
When do they need response by, or when would be a good reasonable time to get a response by?
Probably around like ideally end of March,
Okay.
we would need to be.
Our goals are to increase attendance to the fair, we're been in this 10,000 range. I don't think it's unreasonable for us to come up with a plan to get us closer to 30,000 coming to the fair. That would be
Vendors
amazing.
would be happy.
And that's right in line with what Tillamook is getting. I think they've been reporting higher numbers, but I think they've realized that the numbers aren't quite as large as what said that. But the population in the county is almost exactly the same as the population. Lots of, so it's reasonable to get there.
And the other thing with that is, we can do kind of, if it doesn't work out time ways, whatever. But when they run these Judy rodeos, they are starting at 8 a.m. and they are not ending until 4. I mean, it isn't.
Hello. You heard it. Okay. Yeah, we're back in action.
Correct. So I will get more information on that.
Okay. And then next is the event calendar. It's been very busy and it remains to be busy. Our kind of slow period is really like this weekend. And then several banquets really start kicking off here. The Demolition Derby went really well. I would say their attendance was probably 1,200 people. It was pretty packed in there. I think it went well for the first time they did it. I think it's like any event, the first time you do it at a new space, you have some things that you could have done a little bit better to make the experience better. But in general, I think it went good. It was a little shorter than he thought. He didn't have as many side by sides. So it was about 2 hours. He was expecting more like 3.5, 4 hours. It did get a little smoky. That's probably the only thing with the space that happened. So we're going to try to figure out if there's something with the fans. I mean, the fans were on full power, but it didn't seem like it was really moving the air through there. So maybe there's something with the fans that needs to be maintained. If the belts are loose or not tensioned correctly, maybe the fans aren't spinning like they should. So we'll do some looking into those to see if there's something with the fans that's making the ventilations not well, or the other thing we would do is look at bringing in some additional fans or something for an event like that to try to get it aired out. They do, yeah, but I mean, we didn't specifically open those because we had the roll-up door open. I mean, we could open those vents as well. Maybe that would have made some difference, but it was like, it was getting smoky. I mean, for the most part, it was steam. They were just running water in their engines. But then, like, if something kind of started burning, then you kind of got a little rubber smell. But I think the smoke was mostly just from the steam from the engines, not necessarily stuff burning. But the smell,
Fire.
yeah, right. That one did catch on fire. Yeah. In the first heat, there was a guy that was disabled pretty early on, and then he just kept revving his engine. So that's a conversation with Bill as well, and I think he realized now that that's something he's got to train the drivers. Because on an outdoor event, they'll do that. They want to blow up their engine. They want the crowd to be excited, but in a enclosed space like that, it was a little obnoxious. Um, maybe a little bit more screening. There was some dirt that got flung into the crowd. It seemed like the people that were in that section didn't mind, and they kind of were excited about it. But me personally, I would rather not see that happen.
That, like, the middle, like, towards the bottom, we had like a little dirt on it, but
Yeah,
it wasn't worth.
yeah, and it was really just the side by sides. During the cars, that wasn't an issue, but the side by sides were flinging dirt pretty good. He does want to do it again next year. He's talking about kind of expanding it more to being more of a larger event, like what we're doing with the rodeo, with bringing in vendors and some inflatables and games and that type of thing. Maybe a car show type of connection to it. So he's got some ideas to make it bigger with more time. I think he knows that he can get a crowd here for it, so that's a big part of it, knowing if people are going to show up, which helps him too with his payouts. I think that would have also extended the show. He basically didn't know how much he was going to have for payouts for the award, so he had the main event, like 20 something cars were in there, when he probably could have broken them up into two heats of like 10 cars. But then he would have had to double his payout money, so he went with one large heat. I think he was happy. I think we were happy for the first time it happening. One of the main things that's kind of up in the air right now, with the monster truck show that was set for February, he called me. He's like, "What day in March do I have?" I was like, "Ron, we've talked about this many times. You wanted the same weekend." He's like, "That's not going to work for us. We won't be in the area." Said, "Is there a day in March?" So I told him the only day that would work, but he basically wouldn't be able to do an evening show on Saturday because there's an event in here. So he was going to talk with his team and see. So I don't know if that will happen or not, but that's entirely on them because we saved the date for them right away. Yeah. That's it for the event stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless anyone else has anything.
Just with the ventilation, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, it doesn't, the monster trucks and stuff aren't bad, but I feel like it's a very different event.
I wasn't here.
Yeah. I got some videos sent to me from a few people and some comments, so it definitely looked like it was a much different, kind of complete type of event together.
And when I told him, I was like, "Man, that seems smoky. Is this normal?" He's like, "Oh, this wasn't that bad." It's like, okay, but they do this every day. Yeah, we'll look into the fans and see if it's something with on our side. If not, we'll have to come up with a better event plan.
And next year, I think, you know, how we had the rodeo with a high attendance first year and then lower.
Yeah,
So if there's people have negative experience first time, they're not coming back.
right.
So that might be something.
Yeah, improve ventilation. Okay. On to the strategic plan. So we've been talking for a couple months about, this work session for us to really figure out the direction that you all want to go with this property. The main issues were the pier, fairgrounds to be surveyed, competing events, stakeholders to involve, and lists of projects and survey questions. And so combine this packet with the responses that I got from the folks of you that sent stuff in. I'm not really sure the direction we want to kind of go through this, if we want to flip through what was provided, or if you want to take kind of the blank form and start plugging in things for each of these sections. We're,
But I have to stand up and talk, because first of all, I have a hard time hearing you, because it's so noisy in here and everybody else can hear me. So, really, we just wanted to, I just want to have a discussion with your board tonight. I know that, I've started looking at some of the different counties within the state, but, we can certainly, we really just want to know which ones you feel are most close to Clatsop County in terms of population, attendance, events, facilities. I mean, obviously, we're not going to compete with Deschutes County. They're really not, I wouldn't think, a peer jurisdiction, because they're a lot bigger, more urban, and very different, I think, from what Clatsop County is. But really, I'm here to hear your thoughts, because I'm no expert on this. I don't know the fair like you do. I don't know the constituents. I don't know the events like you do. So I really just wanted to hear your thoughts.
and and the stuff I did is on the last section. And when I was looking at it in kind of two ways. One is there's going to be other venues that are similar to what we are and have been, but there's also like, what are we wanting to aspire to be like? And so thinking about it with both of those things, do we just want to be looking at other fairs with 10 and 15,000 attendance, or do we want to also be looking at those fairs that are that next step up, that are getting that 25-30,000 people coming to their fair?
I got it when I walked in the door.
I've
today.
compiled this. Yeah. Compiled this. I don't know if you just kind of want to go one by one and talk about it, or if you want the folks that at least turned in what they thought want to start talking about their ideas and then expand that conversation to everyone else.
It's sounds, some of the discussions that I've heard, that Tillamook is probably definitely on the list. So we can definitely mark that.
And, the ones that I think about are, Pacific County. Granted, that's a really small fair, but it's a really close fair to us. But once you just go a little bit further, you're in Grays Harbor County, and they have a fair that is more in line, I think, with what we have going on. That would be a good one. That's kind of regional, the same kind of coastal community. They've got a carnival, they've got a rodeo, they've got a concert. They're doing the same things that we're doing up there. You got Longview, Columbia County, Tillamook County. I mean, Washington County is a little big, but they also have a lot of information on how things are done, right? So let me look what I wrote down. Columbia, Pacific, Wahkiakum County. I think they're really small. I think they're pretty much just a 4-H fair. Tillamook, Cowlitz. We're just talking about fairgrounds right now, right? Seems like those are kind of the big ones regionally. I know just from going to convention and being involved with the Fairs Association that the Jackson County Fair and the Klamath County Fair are also kind of those fairs that are right there in that level where I think we could be. Granted, they're further away. They may have a little bit different demographic than we do, but how their fair operates, I think, is pretty high functioning, or getting past that level where we are to being a bigger fair. I know earlier when I was meeting with John, I had said Benton County, but I looked through my notes again. It was actually Jackson County, their fair manager.
I just think we need to look outside the box for events and everything that we can do, so you have people who do other things out of the way. You mentioned there's an equipment sale, draw people in.
Yeah.
I think that if we can actually think outside the box, because we're really not reaching everybody in the county. We need to figure a way to do that.
So if we started, since there goes top on the packet that I got, did you wanna go through your 10? Or is there general agreement with her 10? And do you wanna expand from there, take some off?
Everybody would be better than it, and it would be.
Oh.
Like, super provided with everyone. But it's all but it's better.
How big is Yamhill?
Yamhill is about 30,000. I think they've been like slowly increasing their attendance every year. He's been saying they've been getting in this 30 and go slightly going over it, and that he's been happy with the growth he's been seeing at his fair over the last 5 years. That's because after the fair every year, we all go to the state fair and we kind of talk about how our fairs went. And I recall those being kind of the similar conversations he's commented on over the last couple years. Yeah.
But I just randomly included some doing research, trying to find a small fair now. That's all the use permit, then he would like. It's up there or something like that. It's probably, it's not from a survey perspective, it's more like, if we did connect with one that, the big area. Up in mind, one is actually kind of similar. That is broader.
Yeah.
And I see, and I apologize, because I got this when I arrived here, so I haven't gone through it.
Yeah.
I haven't had any time. But I see that, Yamhill seems to be consistently on, the forms we've received, Columbia County. We got some Southwest Washington.
Yeah. Is that Cowlitz County? That's one you had, Abby.
No, it was. Oh, that was what it was called. What is it called? That was in like Chihuahuas or something. But it sounded.
Centralia.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Or like, I tried to put some on there that like had aspects, maybe they were not as much appear, but like had aspects of like things we should incorporate, they like trying. Obviously nothing like that, but like.
So the ones I've written down here based off of how the conversation's gone so far is Tillamook, Grays Harbor, Jackson, Klamath, Cowlitz, Yamhill, Columbia, Southwest Washington.
I did.
It's similar.
And it's also a coastal community and I know just kind of working down the coast, like I don't think it would be valuable to include Lincoln County. They've basically been shuttered for the last decade and they're just now doing a redevelopment. And maybe in 3 years, once they get their new facility up and running, they might be interesting to talk to, but yeah, they do have a similar kind of demographic and region, but I just think that they're in the spot themselves where it might not be as useful as going to someone else. But I don't know anything about the Coos County Fair myself, but I do hear a lot of vendors that are. Oh,
Myrtle Point.
I do hear from a lot of the vendors that we have here that are more fair vendors that they're routed in there. So they are going to our fair or Coos County Fair or working with them. I'm not sure if we're the same time as them now. I think we might be the same week as them now. So I don't have everybody's, I don't even know who their fair manager is, to tell you the truth.
It's, Lisa Dumont.
Lisa. Okay.
What about Curry County,
Oh, no, no.
but also coastal?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Anthony came from, so he might have some leads to get us in contact there.
How many do we have on the list?
The ones I just read off was 9.
Could you read those off again, please?
Tillamook, Grays Harbor, that's in Washington, Jackson County, Klamath County, Cowlitz County, Yamhill, Columbia, Southwest Washington Fair, Coos County. But I had kind of identified some other smaller ones that may not be as valuable.
What about Douglas County? It also is coastal.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I think their fair is pretty big, but it is it's a heavy logging type community down there, so it has similar things. But again, some of the events that have tried to book here, they're like, nope, we're in Douglas County or yeah, it could be interesting. I know their fair manager is pretty organized. It seems like they have a pretty put together system, so that could be useful.
Go with that. Good on that. I think we reached our 10.
Yeah.
So the next item that we wanted to cover were other venues that are competing for some of the smaller social events, quinceañeras, and, you know, weddings or whatever else might be going on here, memorial services. So thinking about those, and I know, I mean, the obvious one that comes to mind is Seaside Convention Center, probably the loft at the Red Building, the Armory. Trying to think where else people do that. Those are the 3 that come to my mind. Which one? Okay.
In the Granges, I think the Nettle Grange is probably the one that's got the most going on. Kristen, in this packet, Kristen provided a list from the Astoria Warrenton Chamber, and I don't know if this is really a function of the chamber or if it's more of something from LCTC. But the list she got particularly came from the chamber's website, so it's just Astoria and Warrenton venues, which there's a lot more of them there than I thought that there was around. But that's also a good lead. Like if the Astoria Warrenton Chamber has this list, it's almost certain that the Seaside Chamber and the Cannon Beach Chamber have something similar as well. And I haven't dug into those 2 chambers yet to see what they have available, but this list has quite a bit from just Astoria. Armory, Elks, Country Club, school districts, CMH Field, Grays Elementary, Benjamin Young Inn, I don't know what that is. Rosebriar Mansion.
When you look at your events like weddings and quinceañeras and things, typically what's the attendance ratings that you're looking at? Because that will really decide what your competing venues are.
We have some small ones that typically are either just doing the dairy barn and annex type of thing where there's 50 or 70 people or so. In here, you'll have people that are doing those same smaller ones. They just want the assurance that they have the weather on their side. In the summertime, people are more willing to do those outdoor ones. In here, it can be anything from that 50 to 500 people. So I think were larger. So the larger weddings were definitely, got the corner on because people can't do these at a lot of these other venues. I think at the Red Barn, even a couple hundred people, and you're probably max. But I do hear a lot from just a couple that was in here this week. They were on the fence if they were going to rent this or the Red Barn, and it was all about what dates were available and getting back from the folks that rent out the Red Barn. But I definitely think, yeah, Red Barn Loft, whatever they actually go by. I think they're definitely one of the top ones that we want to include with this.
The
Yeah.
loft-
The loft at the Red
The
Building.
Red Barn is the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the upstairs at the Bridgewater Bistro. And that's where I personally got married there probably 15 years ago. And it was a great space. I mean, it did everything we needed for our wedding of 150 people, but it was a lot more expensive than what we're charging as well. And I do think it's different from what it was then, because back then it was a lot of here's the space. I think now there's more of a event support function that you get when you rent that. I think they set up the tables and do those types of things when you're there. The other one we were looking into was Elks. Elks is a big popular one that people are renting for weddings and stuff like that. But I don't think they're doing really a lot of like quinceaneras or parties type of thing, but a lot of weddings and banquets.
The old house, what is it? The ruin,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Or no, not the one. Yeah, it's downtown, it's the old after.
Yeah, it's called the Ruins, yeah.
Well, but I think a new one's gonna be, that's not up and running yet, but it's the Lung Lodge. Yeah, that place, since they bought the Masonic Temple. It's gonna be a event center now. Yeah, it says Lung Lodge on the front. Oh, nice. It's like an event center.
Where's that at?
The
right
Masonic
across
Temple. From the old Columbia Memorial Hospital.
Yeah.
Masonic Lodge.
The only Masonic Lodge I think of is the one in Warrenton.
No, you drive by it all the.
Yes, you just don't realize it. It's like
Yeah.
classic care, just down from classic care.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Just have all these.
I mean, it's right on the water and, right?
Well, no, I mean, you can see it.
Yeah.
The building's gorgeous.
It's right about 2 blocks, 3 blocks off. We used to have these big timbers holding up the columns.
We have a microphone system. I can't hear. And just turn off.
I think we all just move up.
I know.
I- yeah.
Scary. You're sitting here and I can't.
I can turn the heat off.
I was just telling Kyle where it was, the old building
Yeah,
crumbling.
I'm just saying in general for a whole area. Yeah, right. Another big one would be the Barbary. The old railbirds, yeah, I'm horrible.
Oh, the Barbie building. Well, not Barbie.
The Barbary.
The Barbie. Yeah, Barbie, it's named after.
Yeah, that's a good way to make it, you know. Okay. How many are you looking for your list?
I'm aiming for about 10, but we can be over or under. I think if we get a good variety of venues that will hold larger events and some smaller events, that will give us a good mix to help. You'd be able to price out and look at your different facilities, because obviously the annex will be different from the event venues that would compete with the exhibit hall.
One I didn't think of, but Camp Riley is on this list of total on it even. Did anyone grant Camp Riley? It's on.
The note was in based on training needs. I don't think that's available.
Oh,
Yeah, I've only seen it, in my experience, been there for like work-related meetings, where we have like a big crowd of people.
from what I understand, and we can reach out to them and see what they're doing now. Like the car show was there, and they came here last year, and they basically said they had a new base commander, and his current policy was that he wanted to see less things happening out there. But that being said, those positions change over after 3 to 5 years typically, and there'll be a new commander coming in at some point and they may have a different opinion as well.
Had a great lock in there before.
Reba,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I've heard as far as venues, I've got Seaside Convention Center, the Armory, Warrenton Community Center. Do we want to keep Columbia County Event Center on the list? I know that was one that came up that Mary Jo had suggested.
Like outside.
I'm not familiar with it.
I did dig into it, but it's similar event.
We've got Meadow Grange, the Barbie Maritime, Lock at the Red Building, Elks Club, the Ruins, the Masonic Temple, and I can look at Camp Rylea, and that would give us 11. Which is a lot, right?
Also, the Astoria Country Club.
Oh, Astoria Country
Yeah,
Club, yeah.
That one, and then the Grange that's there too. Pacific Grange.
Pacific Grange.
That building is.
That's where I got married.
But they don't have a kitchen in there. right now.
They what?
They don't have a kitchen in there right now. That's what you can use, really.
Yeah.
We're in the process of remodeling.
And then I can reach out to Seaside and Cannon Beach tomorrow and see if they have a list of some other venues and maybe there's just something we're unaware of.
So there's chamber.
Yeah.
Then there's back garden, which is outside, and then a couple of the hotels down there have pretty big venues. Hallmark or whatever, big. Hallmark has a room, Savannah has a room, Wayfair has a room,
Theater has out for rental also for weddings.
and then there's the Seaside Bob Chisholm Community Center outside. Yeah.
I read. So I think if we could have like one or two from Seaside, like.
Yeah, the other one is the Sunset Empire Parks and Rec.
I think it's the Best Western down there in Seaside that they do a lot of meeting and conference stuff. We've gone to some trainings in there and the space is pretty big. I don't know if they're doing weddings and things like that, but and I don't think they're really doing weddings at the convention center, but you know, they're doing trade shows and things like that we definitely would like to get some of that business here.
Any
Um,
of-
And I understand they recently just went through a whole economic report with Johnson Consulting as well that we got from the Fairs Association. So that conversation could be interesting to get some details that they have from that.
When you first come in the first entrance in Cannon Beach, that like, they have like 5 study place, is that open to the public too, or is that only for churches? Because that's kind of simple, it's got outdoor
I
and
think
indoor.
it's mostly for churches, they have conferences out here.
Any other venue suggestions? Then we were, very, very interested in the thoughts about stakeholders. And I'm happy to take all your suggestions because I imagine there will be a lot of overlap. But we had planned on interviewing up to 40 stakeholders. And we can certainly do more, within limit, maybe not 1,000, maybe not 100, but 50, 55, we can probably do. What I want to make sure though, is that we absolutely touch on the most important stakeholders that we think that we absolutely cannot should not miss. And so, to hear your thoughts about that.
And I know I don't necessarily know what the approach will be for engaging these stakeholders, but I know as I was looking through the list, I was coming up with a massive list of people that I think could provide something valuable, but as far as like the entire project, like it would probably be a waste of their time to be involved. So thinking about that list of like, who are these high valuable ones that we really want at the table for the whole discussion type of thing versus who maybe we could send them a survey if they send it back or not, then we get some information from them. I don't know exactly what you're thinking for as an approach on that, but there's definitely some folks that it might be interesting to hear something from them, but
These are probably your frequent fair flyers or fairground flyers. So we know 4-H. We're gonna have to definitely talk to 4-H. But then who there, I think there's a riding group that we probably want to reach out to, correct?
Yeah, OET, Oregon Equestrian Trails.
And then who are the other groups or individuals, or CMH, I know holds a big annual event here. Are they someone that we should reach out to definitely? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Canadian Festival, you've got the.
Yeah.
Chambers, seafood, if they're gonna come again this year.
I don't know. Whether it was going to be a survey or you interview, or are you gonna prioritize some groups you're gonna actually interview and some are.
Well, we want to talk to, we had made plans for speaking directly to 40 people or groups or organizations. There's going to be a public survey that will come out that will be open to everybody in the public. And there will be public input meetings where we'll have additional chance to bring people in. So maybe it's somebody who's only used the fairground once and had an experience here, but has some thoughts about what their experience was. But the 40 stakeholders are people that we're actually, or groups that we are actually going to talk to. So.
Are there any groups like, for example, these, like the sheriff's department, they use it for like garbage rats or whatever? Is there any groups like that that like use it for utilitarian reasons?
Yeah, the sheriff's office does do several trainings out here a year, and it's not necessarily just like one division. There's various things, if it's their marine or their enforcement or their like combat training type stuff. Yeah, I mean the sheriff just in general, and he may have a particular person he would decide he wanted to delegate that to.
I would like to see, because the Coast Guard doesn't do much with us at all. I'd like to see somebody talk to the Coast Guard and see what they say about things. Maybe we can get some ways that we can break into what they, some things they need. I know they have Camp Rylea, but we may be able to use those for other things, and maybe they have some ideas.
Yeah, they have an air station too, that they do
Yeah.
pretty much everything at, but. And they're both place across the river too.
What?
There's a Ilwaco, yeah, Ilwaco, they have a big base over there.
I can go through the list of the stuff I wrote down, which is actually quite a bit. I mean, the auction committee, we'll definitely want them, the 4-H coordinator or whoever's in that position in the meantime, but at the very least, we could involve the regional manager for this area from 4-H extension more broadly than, I don't know, he's OSU extension or is he just 4-H? He's all extension. And so that would incorporate more than just 4-H. It would also bring in kind of a voice for the master gardeners and that type of stuff that they're doing. I mean, there's even more programs that are happening with extension more than 4-H and the gardeners. I had wrote down some service groups and thinking about which of those might be more valuable, but like Rotary and Kiwanis, Elks.
Want to talk about FFA too, not just Perry.
Yeah, and so I have FFA and the FFA alumni. Getting them involved, 4-H association, the community competitions, a car show. There's a guy, and I can get you a list of contacts for all of these as well. The Scandinavian Festival, the Astoria Warrenton Chamber, which is the two hats. It's the Crab Fest and just the chamber more generally. Seaside Chamber, Cannon Beach Chamber. I don't know what it would be in Pacific County, if they have kind of a county-wide chamber or if it's the Long Beach Chamber and the Ilwaco Chamber, but it could be. They're their own association. So I don't know exactly what they call themselves, but it's Scandinavian
The
something.
dancers and the group, so the dancers have their own board. And then this festival itself has another board, it's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But I can ask Vern for a direct contact, because
Yeah. I know I've been
the
dealing
master-
with Lauren, but I think he's handing the reins off to Brenda quite a bit. And then they have their whole other, like, they have a very divisionalized setup, the way that they take care of it. Like somebody does marketing, somebody does the setup. Somebody does, I mean, all do something differently. But I think Brenda's kind of the ringleader at this point, at least with what she's done here at the fairgrounds. So she's probably the most valuable person for us to have a conversation with. No, I have a big list, so if you want to jump in.
Like the Sunset Empire Park Rec in Seaside,
Yeah.
that was the Skylar Archibald. Down there.
Okay. The Lower Columbia Tourism Group, they could be valuable. I don't know if Cedar might be valuable. But as far as an economic impact, like what we can be doing for an economic development standpoint. Travel Oregon's kind of more of a larger state agency, but they may have some valuable resources that they can at least lead us on to. Reaching out to any of the city managers or mayors of the towns, I think they were involved in the last one. When you look at it, they were pretty much every city in the county had a representative that was reached out to, whether it's the mayor or the city manager. We have LOCO, the Lower Columbia Radio Control Group that has a lease on our property. They could be interesting to talk to. We do need to discuss what that lease looks like with them long term and formalize that a little bit more than it is.
You have this list, so when we get to, she gets there 50 or something like that. For example, the last group you mentioned.
Yeah.
What would you envision that actually provide from a strategic planning perspective?
I think more than anything, goals that they may have for what their lease area looks like in the future, but that could be a separate conversation, but it'd be good to hear from them.
Yeah, that's something very specific to them.
Yeah.
And then bring us from afar, but it's strategically the fairground. Like that.
But with the radio people, they're actually involved in emergency and,
Well, these are just airplanes.
communication and everything. So I think they'd be good. I think we should have them as part of the fair too. And, Christine, Kathy is, now president of, Stars, which is at a radio club out of, Seaside. Citizen band radio.
And saying the group I was talking about, they're just radio controlled airplanes.
Pretty much, oh, the airplane, you're talking about the airplane?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the radio tower.
Yeah. If there's any vendors that we have, and I think this was something that Abby had on hers too, but our concession vendor, our beverage vendor, if there's some reoccurring vendors that have been coming, like Rob and ML Express. They're kind of a couple of the ones that have just really been a staple. Like ML Express, I think, said they've been coming to our fair for 34 years or something like that. And so they probably know a heck of a lot more about our fair than any of us do.
Do you get a lot of church groups that do events here? Do you get any church groups that do events here?
We've got a Presbyterian for pie.
Yeah. You mean during the fair? Yeah. As far as like event rentals, I haven't seen any. We were working with the one church for an Easter service, but really the church groups all really are looking for a free venue. And so they just really don't have the funds to be able to rent the property.
What about Astoria High School? So I think they were at your last meeting asking for a fee reduction.
The high school does come and asks for several events, and they've been doing graduation ceremonies. There's been on and off times when various different high schools have done like proms and those types of events. So it could be worth talking to them about what would make it worth it to them to host more proms and homecomings and those types of things. I don't know if it's traditional that they do the homecoming at the school or if it's somewhere else that they would want to do it. Our beverage vendor, ODOT, the Sheriff's Office, Public Works, and the Department of Forestry are all kind of agencies that the things that we're doing out here could be concerning to them from time to time as far as traffic impacts. And then with the forestry being our neighbors, and a chunk of our property is got a forestry component to it. So it'd be worthwhile talking to them. I think I wrote it on here twice, auction committee, but it's the Junior Livestock Association. There is a Clatsop County Farm Bureau. That could be interesting to see how we could involve them more with the fair. I don't know if that's a strategic plan conversation or more of just a fair planning conversation, but trying to stay true to our agricultural education component of what we're doing here. They might have some ideas.
What about some of the neighboring property owners who I know came and spoke several months ago when the CUP was up for consideration? Are those stakeholders that we want to reach out to, or just incorporate them as part of the overall public input? What are your thoughts?
I think it would go a long way to have them part of it. I'm sure. Out of respect, yeah.
Do we want to have like particular people that we know, or do we want to like send out like a letter of engagement or?
It's gonna be contest. I think that we're just wrap it up for the.
Yeah.
That would be. So, I think that would just be, I think that's what we. Putting it out there. We didn't actually close that topic.
So maybe as we get closer to a public engagement event, we can send I'll call them invitations, but at least separate notices to them so that they personally are aware and getting something on behalf of the fair board and not just reading about it in the paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was right.
We could involve our security ticketing contractor. They would be valuable and know a lot about the fair industry.
Well, we're kind of coming up on 6 o'clock. Time frame. Is there anything that you want, I know we all kind of just got this packet. Is there anything that specifically we want to just make sure we all in on? Or is it something that, you know, she's got a lot of information from what we kind of talked about right now? That we kind of put everything together and then go from there, or?
So as I understand it, not everybody has gotten back with info, is that correct? Okay, so would it be possible to get everybody's responses by the end of this week, by Friday? And then we can get those from Kyle. And then what we can do is, we're gonna, I say we, but Kyle, I'm helping him. So we are gonna start giving you some drafts of the current facilities inventory. We're gonna give you a draft that you can redo for your February meeting. But we want to get that to you probably by the end of this week or early next week, so you've got a few weeks to look through it. It's not very long, it's a lot of pictures, but just so you have time to look through it and think about it. And then what we can do is, if we can get everybody's responses to this form by the end of this week, we can also kind of send out a summary with what we pulled in terms of the top 10, the top 40, and get that to you early as well, so that we can discuss it at your February work session. Perfect. That sound good for everyone?
The one thing I noticed on the form that you're filling out is on the survey questions, you had a section for Pure Fairground. You didn't really have a survey section for other stakeholders, like other.
No, yeah, if you have questions that you want stakeholders to answer, and you know, whether it's, you know, were the facilities modern enough to meet your needs, what could be modernized, what would make it a better event venue, more welcoming, you know, what is the fairgrounds doing right, what was right about your event, you know, but maybe questions about how the staffing levels were to support events. And I'm thinking right now an event, but I mean, for 4-H, it would be a different set of questions, possibly, because they have different needs and.
Yeah, I just included some that are just like, I felt like it was a gap there. Again, that is gonna depend on like how.
Yeah.
I would do it.
One other thing, I know at the last meeting there, Joe, you had asked about depreciation on the buildings as part of that. So I did check with assessment and taxation, and they do not actually appraise the fairground buildings because they're not taxed. So they don't have that information, so.
Could they do that?
They could, but I don't know that they have the staff time to come out here and appraise the buildings. I can talk to assessment and taxation, the director, but they probably don't have the staff time to do that, and it would be a pretty big piece of work for them to come out and appraise all the buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, we could potentially find an independent appraiser to come out and
That
do
would
something.
be a lot of money.
That's
Yeah.
not effective.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We can talk, and maybe it's possible that over the course of, several years, they might be able to do a building or two a
Yeah.
year.
Well, and especially if we, something's mapped out strategic plan, we're like, oh, we wanna improve this building before that decision of making that investment. Getting an assessment of, the lifespan of the current structure kind of thing, before the final decision is on. If that can fit in with the strategic plan.
Yeah, and there's general rules of thumb. I've been trying to work with the building official where you can, make an estimate based on construction that the life of a building is probably 30 years. But there are ways to prolong that or ways to decrease that. And you're a contractor, right, Joel? So you've got this concept down where if a building is only built to last for so many years, and that's about it. Yeah, so.
Awesome.
But the other part that we didn't touch on at all was projects.
And that's probably a separate.
A separate,
conversation.
much longer detail.
Separate work session.
Thank you, sir. Hold on the corner.
My
Yeah.
little one has hit, so now I have time.
So then we'll, my staff will be getting information to Kyle that he's gonna send out for you next week. So that will be the draft of the current inventory that we've conducted. And then kind of a summarization and ranking of the items that we've talked about tonight, once we get the remaining forms.
And regarding the capital stuff, what I can do is compile what we have so far and send it to you all to look at. I mean, some of the stuff you guys may not be interested in, and some of it you may want to do other things as well that haven't been thought of yet. And if any of you want to come out and walk through, we can do that again.
Great. I was just gonna say, do you guys want like just a quick 5-minute break and then we'll come back at, say 6:08. Yeah, please.
Just a request, but.
I've got most of mine done, but this past December.
This- yeah.
Day one.
What's legal day one
Bang.
with your bank switching over?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
Been a
Probably it.
month.
it's been very busy here. And then you throw in holidays and vacation days and,
No holidays.
but it is slammed.
Nope, I've been weekends, holidays, everything, but everything switched over.
And now everybody's getting sick. So.
Sad. Growing up. It was awful.
My whole family's sick. I slept on the couch last night. I was like, stay away from me.
But I really. Okay. All right. All right, it is 6:08. We're gonna start our regular meeting. We'll call to order. We have roll call. We've got everyone in here. Agenda approval, if someone would like to approve the agenda.
So for this, we do need to add to the agenda the consideration of the FFA joint letters of point. I added it to, I think what I sent you all, but I mean, the agenda that was posted didn't have it, so we should
Got it.
formally add it.
All right, would someone like to do that? The FFA,
Letter of support.
I propose we add the FFA letter approval to the agenda. I'll second it.
Perfect. All right, so we approved the agenda with the addition. We have a second, and next we have chair and vice chair selection. So,
No
would like,
public
someone like, to- I'm sorry?
comment? No public comment?
That comes
Uh,
after,
that-
yeah.
Nominate Abby for chair.
Second.
I second that one.
Second. All right, so we have nomination, we have a second, all in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed?
You don't get to say no.
All right,
Do it, no.
and there you go, Abby.
Well.
Congratulations.
Way to go.
All right. That was.
Don has to do it for you.
Yeah. So,
In the car.
all right, we have a vice chair now. We have a nomination for vice chair.
Can I be vice chair? So I nominate myself?
Nope, you've already selected that first one.
I nominate Mallory.
Nominate Steph.
I nominate Mary Jo.
I'm just gonna vote.
All right. So we have three. So how do you want to do that? We,
Mary Jo wants to abstain. Oh, wait, now, wait, Steph. Steph, you'd rather not. You're right, you're right.
okay, so we have three. Okay,
We
so
have a discussion about it. Okay. Well, so appreciate the effort that Mallory did this last year. But I reflect on the interview specifically where you kind of acknowledge that being on time and then organized was really a strong suit. And we really need to have some strong leadership in our chair and vice chair this year. So that's where my concern would be for you to take on that role. And also give the opportunity for, to give Abby the opportunity to actually take over without a more dominant presence, which we likely would have. So we want to make sure we set up Abby for success. I think having either one of us as vice chair is probably not as helpful for her as it would be if we had like Stephanie or somebody that, you know, can kind of equal that energy. That's just my thoughts.
okay. Any other thoughts? All right. Let's just go ahead and vote if everyone would like to go ahead and, or if someone wants to make a motion, I guess, and then someone can second that.
Are we doing chair, vice chair this morning?
We're vice chair.
Okay.
Yeah. So Abby is our chair, we are having a vice chair.
Blocking that in.
Yep.
Figure out.
I make a motion to Stephanie is our vice chair.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a second, all in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, we'll go ahead and go forward with that. So congratulations. Yes. All right, so we will move forward to public comment. At this time, anyone wishing to address the Fair Board concerning items of interest on or off the agenda may do so. The person addressing the Fair Board will, when recognized, give their name and address. For the record, all remarks will be addressed to the whole board and limited to 3 minutes per person. Fair Board members reserve the right to delay any action if required until such time when they are fully informed and the matter is scheduled as an agenda item. Do we have anyone for public comment? Hi, hello, yes.
Lori Temple, 35072, Gulfstone, Astoria. We didn't make it to the last meeting because we had our holiday party that day. But I watched your video on the, last meeting and I was talking about the camping. And, as somebody who's been camping down there forever, probably close to 20 years now. You guys talked about the move-in days. Yeah, it's supposed to be Saturday. We kind of start on Thursday. Can you imagine 70 trailers all trying to come in on Saturday? That's gonna be like Wade and spring Wade when you have all the rigs out on the road. Everybody camps in their same spots. Everybody's really curious about, this is where they camp, this is where they camp, this is where they camp. Everybody kind of knows where everybody camps. You're a newbie, you're in the back, and then you slowly move up. Camped in the back many years, And now we're up at the front, and we try to keep our little camp small. Actually, this year, some of my members in my camp took more spots, and my husband and I hooked up to their trailers and moved them and said, no, you are not taking that much space. We are keeping our spots small so everybody else can fit in, and you infringed on Jeremy Crickle's camp next to us, and we said no. So we personally moved their trailers out of the way. And I know it's like Thursday, and it's not everybody that comes in, but like for the people that are really busy, and especially this year, in the next couple of years, we're only gonna have 1 week between setup and fair time. And that's a lot of stuff to be done, because that 4th of July is gonna be falling on the weekend. There's no way we'll have anybody to help on the 4th of July weekend to set up. So that only gives us a week's time to get everything done, what, you know. And even actually, we're moving out earlier in the week of that fair week, the offices. But I just want to say, that having only 2 cars, that doesn't bother me. But I think you guys should talk to Matt Bellingham, because he's been a host for a few years, and get his input. And I know he was dead set against having the trailers parked in a row, because he likes his little quad too. And you're kind of hidden in there. And then if everybody parks in a row, then you're gonna think you got all the slide outs, and everybody's gonna want their awning out. So that's actually gonna take up more space, because you're gonna have trailer and awning, if you have a lot of slide outs compared to more of those. You keep them small, you know, like 4 trailers, maybe 5, and then, you know, and there was a couple that were maybe spread out a little too big. I will agree with that. But I just think it works overall. They all park down the middle, 2-sided, and it's been really good, and it works, and the kids have a good time, you know, because they're out there playing football half the time, doing stuff in the middle. But it is like I told Joseph, it is like their Disneyland. They don't get to go anywhere. That's their camping time. That's their family vacation time, so. But I think trying to make them all come in on Saturday, where the next day all the animals are coming in, people are decorating, people are here. That's gonna really stress out people a little bit more. And nobody camps down there until Saturday. They just bring their trailers, it's done, over with. They don't have to think about it again, and then they just go on, so. Anyway, that's just mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should, have a chance to get together, like, for example, you and Tom and Bellingham or whatever, kind of like set up, kind of like a map type thing, kind of see what we're working with for space and make sure it is somewhat fair, but I understand what you're saying, the people that are responsible should get the best spot for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, you just slowly, we were way back when we first started, we just slowly, when people got out, then you just kind of, and then you move your way up. And some people like to camp all the way back, they don't want to be around, so they just camp back there no matter what, so. And it also depends, I mean, it's my daughter and son-in-law that are doing the mowing down there, so it's like, when is it being done, so that we know. And plus this year, you've got to get all the spoilers out of the field, so we'll have more, but it should look like it's gonna be even bigger down there this year, the ditches dug out and stuff like that. Just to get all the spoils put out the way, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I unfortunately, that December was the only meeting I didn't make it to all year, so, I was not here for that, so I don't know if there's anything you guys had to go off of that, but.
You'll volunteer to be camping.
I volunteer to do it.
Perfect.
Definitely,
It's time for that.
I know I can hold you nonetheless.
Yeah,
So
I've already been talking to Matt about it.
okay, good, yes, that's what I thought, he's been a camp host, you know, get his input on how he feels it's been going, I think there was really no problem this last year. And,
He definitely has input on the new stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
and not to
Okay.
spend too much time on that now, but you know, we had a pretty robust discussion, and then I was gonna update the camping rules and bring them back for you guys to approve. And that was kind of one of the up in the air things still was what we wanted to do. I think if I recall correctly, like it seemed like we were leaning towards not necessarily making a big change like that for this year, but then really looking at it closer at the fair this year. But then Joel was gonna ask around and ask some questions too and kind of figure out a little bit more. But the main part of the discussion was towards the wristbands. And if you want to talk about that later, we can hop on a call.
Okay, anyone else have any public comment? All right, we will move on. Thank you, guys. We'll go ahead and jump in for the consent calendar. Does anyone have an approval for that? Like we have December's in there? Anyone had a chance to take a look at them? You wanna do that?
Make a motion to approve the December 9th fair meeting minutes.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
All second it.
Awesome, thank you. All in favor? And all opposed? All right, thank you. We've got board member reports.
I already pretty much gave mine.
Okay. Perfect, I don't have any update. All right, I did text Dusty just so everyone knows. We talked about a couple of dates. He really only has 2 dates that will work. One of them being that November 14th date, which unfortunately conflicts with 4-H. But maybe if something magically happens, that would be great. If not, then the only other date he has is October 24th, which I also believe is maybe a little too close to all of the Halloween parties. So we'll see. I'll keep in touch with him, and
Halloween is on a Saturday this year, so, but there are people that hold their events.
but all of the other parties like the parents go to without kids. I'm for that time frame, so we'll see. I'll keep talking to him and let you guys know, but
I know there's no,
Dusty from 4-H.
no, Jesse from the road.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, like I kind of talked about earlier today, that, all fell into my lap with the junior rodeo stuff, so I'll touch base with more information on that and then go from there.
Okay.
Have any board reports? No, okay.
Okay, Cal, pull that. So at the last meeting, I talking about sponsorship, and I said that I would start working on things, so Kyle sent me. This one here is the one from last year, so disregard this one.
yeah.
I just, because I know we were talking about adding more like entertainment stuff that we could get sponsorships for, but basically I just wanted to get this rolling because we need to start bringing in money now. And we can always, if we do something else, we can add it to it, because I think we, outside of the concert last year, we raised $10,000, something like that, and I think we feel a lot better than that. So the top half, I kept that all the same from last year. Basically, I just added, the other fair sponsorships. Those are basically the big things I added. I tried to, from last year, I tried to lower some of the starting points, because I know our economy is not the best, and someone might not be able to give us $1,000, but they could give us 500, 250, something like that. That was kind of the big thing, is just expanding being Kyle net and just expanding the different sponsorship opportunities. And then like farther down, keep going like where I broke everything down. So that this is all the same from last year. So what's in your packet, keep going. One more. Okay, so like right here. And then like last year, go up one more. Last year was the corn pit. I did the whole kid zone and dropped the price down for people to do sponsorships. And then I even on some of them I kind of increased it. I think the lumberjack show, that's gonna be a big one to get sponsorships for, because it's gonna be like 20 grand for us. And I was kind of hoping like we can all work hard and try and get, I think it'd be cool either to do, what I would love is to have 4 shows, and when you break it down, it's like $3,500 a day. If we could get the big lumber, logging companies to do like sponsor a day or sponsor, like split it with someone, and then they could bring us a banner and it could be, oh, today, Wednesday's logging show is brought to you by whoever.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a good fit. And I think kind of trying to find sponsorships that fit into what different companies are doing. And then like me and Kyle were talking about, like the big companies like outside, like corporations outside of Putnam County, you can go online and they have sponsorship opportunities. I didn't realize that, where you can like apply to things. A lot of them you have to be like a 501. Yeah, but some of them were like just if you do something that benefits the community, like TLC, we'll need to fill that out.
Yeah.
But kind of trying to reach out, because we have to thank people for money every single year. Try to branch out to like the bigger corporations and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys have other ideas, and this would be a great conversation once we can dig into what we want the fair to look like, but other opportunities for sponsorships. I know I have some notes from the conventions, but there's other things that we can do to try to tailor sponsorships. Like one of the things I was talking about was there was like a sponsor the smile of the day, and it's like get like a dentist office or something like that to sponsors, and we do a smile photo contest type thing. I mean, there's all kinds of other opportunities out there to get sponsorships and businesses involved with the fair. Another one was like working with like a shed company to get them.
I sent an email to Tough Shed, someone, but I need to like follow up and, cause I looked up, we have some Tough Shed companies like somewhat close, so I was gonna call like the different ones to see, cause he go.
Great. And so for like if we want an information booth, like if we can get Tough Shed to bring us a shed type. So there's some like in-kind sponsorship type of opportunities that may be mutual beneficial. So if you have other ideas outside of the box of what we've done here, but what you put together was kind of built off of what we know so far with petting zoo and lumberjack show. And we'll need to get some more of the details dialed in for the fair so that we can expand on this a little bit more
Yeah,
with those particular opportunities. Right? Wouldn't even, they'd bring it in for the week and then take it out after the fair's over.
Something that came up was, like Home Depot does their Saturday, it's having Home Depot do something and come in and do.
Yeah.
um,
And that was, that type of thing was another conversation at the convention talking about community competitions. So even if we maybe hosted something there leading up to it, and then whatever they built or whatever gets entered into the fair automatically, and it gets some more awareness that that's even a thing. Like before I took this job, I didn't know that I could submit stuff in and win money and prizes at the fair. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know. There was other ideas like paint and sips, like hosting paint and sip, or even a virtual paint and sip or stuff like that. So there's lots of ideas if we can figure out what we want to do and put a plan in to
I would
knock them out.
love to have a point for us all. I don't know if we need to have like a separate meeting, but his sponsorship is so big, especially with the concert, and Kyle sent me some like very extensive lists of all of the businesses we can kind of like have a conversation on who has connections with who, and so we can kind of break it down, because I don't want to be reaching out to 1,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, the sponsorship is really a full.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing for somebody to kind of take the lead on what the program's going to look like, but once it comes to actually engaging sponsorships, and that's the full team.
That's the end of my spiel.
Yeah.
Nothing to report.
So I have a couple of things. First of the line are the 501c3. A lot of the fairgrounds in California have the Heritage Foundation for their fairground. It's separate from the fairgrounds. And basically they raise money to build buildings, and they sponsor a lot of events, and dances and dinners and things like this, and they really pack the people in. And so I spoke with the county attorney, and it's okay for us to go ahead and start a 501c3. It has nothing to do with the fair board, it has nothing to do with the fairgrounds, it's just the entity that would supply a 501c3 vehicle for us to expand in the fairgrounds besides grants. For instance, our garbage, we're a 501c3, we ran it through the Heritage Foundation. We get a reduced rate, a very significant reduced rate. So I just want to let you guys know I'm going to form a 501c3 corporation. I'm looking for board members. And with the sole basis of this will be for the fairgrounds improvement.
Because the board has, the board.
No, it has nothing to do with the board, has nothing to do with anything. I asked the county attorney, he says, nope, you can do it. You don't, because it'd be a separate entity. It has nothing to do with the fair board.
So who gets does the county oversee like not us, like the county, do they oversee who's the board members of?
No, it's a private corporation. Just like a Goodwill.
Like Friends of Fort Stevens.
Friends of Fort Stevens.
Okay.
Goodwill, I mean, there are a lot of 501c3s, but what that does is it gives a tax deduction for a donation.
A lot of fairgrounds do this type of thing, but typically, I mean, always there's an agreement between the board and the foundation. And often somebody from the fair board is appointed to be a liaison or something involved with that foundation. But what's really important is that, like, the representation thing. So if the foundation is doing stuff that's basically representing the fairgrounds, the fair board should be involved with what that looks like in some component.
Well, not necessarily, not according to what the lawyer said,
I
county lawyer.
I mean, this is
But-
what I've seen from
But it
other
would be-
foundations typically.
It would be a cooperative effort because, we're gonna be using, fairgrounds facilities and renting fairground facilities. It'll be a partnership.
Yeah.
It's
And
not gonna
you,
be an overseeing, it'll be a partnership.
and the big thing is just, like, if it's being done, the work that the foundation is being done is being done on the behalf of the fairgrounds. It's like knowing that those dollars are being spent on things that the fair board actually wants to see done, and that, it's being managed properly. Those are what those agreements typically spell out, is how that type of stuff between the board and that. And I can work on trying to get some copies of agreements from other fairgrounds on what
The
they
main
have with
thing
their
is we don't have a
foundations.
corporation yet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get the corporation filed and ready to go. And then we'll start working on getting fair board members and going from there. The second thing is there's changes in the ethics laws. On February 1st, public officials are required to make proper disclosure of their conflicts of interest. HB 2930 means that this year, 2026, a public official will be met with a conflict of interest when the public official has taken an official action, a vote, decision, recommendation, and the action could or would have a private financial impact. That financial impact can be a benefit or a loss. The impact is on the public official or their relatives or a member of their household or any businesses that they're associated with. So anyhow, the requirements for declaring, conflict of interest has not changed. They are different for employees than for elected officials, members of boards, councils, and commissioners. See the Oregon Government Ethics Committee website for more details. So just want to let you guys know.
It's the same group that you did that training
Yeah, the
through.
same training. If you signed up, I signed up to get all their updates.
John, do you have an idea of what the LLC is gonna look like? Like, is there any employees that receive a paycheck?
It's an LLC, it's a private LLC. Right now, there's only one person involved, that's me. And being that I don't have any money, I'm not gonna put a lot of money in it. But I'll form a corporation and, it'll be, Oregon Corporation and then I'll have to file a 501c3. Once we do that, I'll have my CPA do that as soon as we get the LLC done. But as soon as we get that, we get the corporation finished, and I get a board, probably 3 members to begin with. So we can at least come in and then we can work with Kyle and the board. And so anyhow, I just think it's something we can do another way we can raise money from some of these big corporations. Like a lot of these corporations at the end of the year have, they give away money.
Yeah.
And and they like those tax deductions. And that's what I'm striving to do, is get, capture money enough to redo the barn, to put a nice outdoor wedding venue out here for summertime.
Just not super familiar with these types of.
Yeah.
And often they start off with basically a volunteer board that does all of the work, and it's basically putting on events and looking for grants. But if the foundation becomes very successful where they're starting to raise large amounts of money, often then they merge into having a paid director or something. And then it just depends on how successful it is. If they don't have money to pay staff though, then they have no staff.
And if you guys like, I'll send individually each one of you guys the Santa Cruz Foundation. They've built 5 or 6 buildings and they have a demonstration garden, and I mean, a real big part of what they've built has been from the foundation.
And it's almost something that has been developed over decades
This
to
I was
get
there
them to where
50
they are.
years, over 50 years in Santa Cruz, and it was it was going when I started there, so it's not gonna, it's not gonna happen overnight, but it's something we can let our kids down the road, or my grandkids, actually great-grandkids now.
So I have one question on this. So since it's totally separate, the, any money the Heritage Foundation gets to go towards the fairgrounds, the Heritage Foundation decides where the money goes, or like?
It would be the needs of, it would be the needs, what's needed. So for instance, if we wanted to redo the dairy barn, we would raise money for the dairy barn and look for grants and look for that kind of stuff.
And as of now, at first, it would all be volunteer basis, so the Heritage Society or whatever you called it, they wouldn't even reach any off of that, it would all 100% go to the fair, that's what.
Minus operating costs.
Mine's operating.
Yeah.
Then again, the fairgrounds and the fair board have nothing to say about the operation of the 501c3. It's a private corporation governed by the bylaws of Oregon under the LLC 501c3 through the federal government. So they're the rules that govern it, not anybody else.
I guess, yeah, just my thing was like, oh, let's say you got a grant for like 50 grand or something, the Heritage Foundation. And the Heritage Foundation wanted to use the money for something different than the board did, since it's the foundation's my foundation had the ultimate say, basically.
Yeah, and say the Fair Board has exclusive authority of what happens on the property. So anything that the foundation would want to do, the Fair Board would have to approve as far as, doing things to the property or something like that. That's why it'd be important to have an agreement. And typically the projects that those foundations are fundraising for are something that's already an established goal and priority of the fairgrounds. So like our CIP list, when we get it done, they'll be like, oh, this is a beautiful project that is something that we can really support. And then they'll spearhead fundraising towards that particular item.
Fundraising and grants and stuff. I mean, Santa Cruz, I feel like is pretty big compared to Clatsop County.
When it first started, there was only 40,000 people in the county.
But that, those pools of money, I feel like it would, sorry, I'm struggling to talk here. Is there some sort of language between the board and that, that are saying like, hey, these are places we're going to try to pull money from, or are we going to be?
It's a separate private corporation.
You're just worried of double dipping.
That's what I was gonna.
Yeah, I understand it's separate, but it's, you're still trying to bring money into the fairground.
So donated, that's different.
Yeah, so that kind of stresses, yeah.
So again, you're missing the whole point. It's a corporation. The corporation's mission statement will be to fund things on the fairgrounds. If you guys don't want to do it, that's okay by me. Then I don't have to spend my time and money. I'm just saying that you guys have to look at it as a fundraising organization that can provide money for the fairgrounds to grow. We're not going to get it from the county.
But do you
I get what you're saying, but I do see there is some money. I see both sides. I do see that there's some money we don't have an option for it, that only the board or only a fair. Yeah,
That's
like,
exactly-
we have separate money that we have no access to.
Right. Yeah, and I totally get that. Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff we don't have, of the big corporations, when
Yeah.
I was looking at for sponsorship, you have to be a 501c, so we could.
Right.
And often these foundations are hosting events that are generating funds, they're doing things.
Yeah.
Like they do in Seaside, they
For
do
instance,
events.
These dinners that raise $15,000-$20,000 and have these dinners. This is what they do in Santa Cruz. I'll send you this stuff from Santa Cruz.
Yeah, the Seaside Foundation, the hospital foundation board, like, I get that. I'm just curious, I keep hearing like it's two separate entities, so I just wanted to know if there was going to be any conversation, if you do go out to search for sponsorship.
Well, when-
That was my only question.
No, when you look at it, you look at like our Mark is head of the CMH Foundation. He's working hand in hand to raise money for CMH. And this organization will be working hand in hand with the fairgrounds to raise money for the fairgrounds. Minus any costs they incur. which is normal business.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to send this stuff out. We got a new one coming out this week.
Right, manager report?
Yeah, few items. We've received more than 50% of the arena banner renewal, so that's going pretty well. We could work on looking for additional sponsorships now. Right now is the ideal time. So if you're aware of anybody that may be interested in signing up for a year-round banner, we have kind of like a letter ready to go, but if they do it now, then they get the full value out of it because they'll have the full year. So it's that time of the year.
Is that something that we can, send to the chamber, the 3 chambers and ask that they send out at all?
We can ask them.
Chamber news or whatever?
We can ask them. I know last year I had went to their meetings with, handbills and handed out information about it, and it did pick up several new sponsorships last year. We ended up getting probably 5 or 7 new ones last year.
Yeah, I know that, like, I get the Seaside Astoria, or the Seaside, the Beach Astoria Washington, but I don't necessarily go to all the meetings.
Right.
But that, like, little front page thing that says, hey, like, here's this,
Yeah,
would be an option.
we can send them something. And again, if you have particular businesses or folks that you think might be interested, we'll see if anybody doesn't renew also this year. The poster contest is is posted on our website, but we haven't done any outreach or engagement yet. So if any of you all have contacts or leads for groups that we can send that poster contest to, an effort to try to get more submissions.
Did you send it to the 4-H office?
Yeah.
But last year, the kids confused yours and ours, and so they were like, this one's for the fairgrounds, this one ours, because we do one too, and so they got confused.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked.
We have a fun art class. They did one for baby last year.
Nice.
Loved it.
And I think that's with some of the conversation last year after we had kind of dismal results, was trying to engage the schools, the church groups, art programs, things like that, to try to get more people involved with it. So now's the time to do that. Loco came in and said, hey, our lease renews every year in January. We had some basic conversation last year about wanting to formalize that agreement. So that'll need to be picked up on. Right now they're paying us $500 a year to use that space, and they're expecting quite a bit from us. That's the airplane club. And they did have some conversation, like to a certain point, they can only afford so much, but at the same time, it's got to be representative to the services that we need to provide for them to be out there as well. I will be working on receiving those grant funds from the roof project and the Energy Trust. They have a rebate that we likely qualify for from this roof with all the insulation they added. So those are 2 projects that I'm working on. I did get notice from CERTA that Roman is no longer with them, and so I'll be working directly with Dan. I think if you recall, when we had them come in and kind of give us a breakdown on those bids, Dan was the other guy on the phone call with Roman. So we have a new point of contact on that. The project's essentially done. It's just really trying to get this energy incentive, and they may need to provide us with some supporting statements in order to, show we qualify for that. But the project's done. And then the county will approve the budget calendar. Well, they're set to approve the budget calendar on January 14th at their next regular meeting. And so that's going to spell out, our timeline to build our budget for next fiscal year. So that will be kicking off. That's my report.
Awesome. Well, this fair hour.
Yeah, so, and I haven't heard back from Rainier yet. But as we were getting ready to advertise, because last meeting we went over the vendor handbook, so we're ready to announce to put that out to all the vendors. But what it occurred to me afterwards was that we didn't update the fair hours. When we didn't have the carnival, we scaled back the fair hours to just to closing at 9 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm assuming that the carnival is going to want to stay open till 10 p.m. and that we're going to want the carnival open till 10 p.m. I don't have that for certain yet. So what I think I'm asking from you now, since I haven't heard back from them, is to basically just go along with what the carnival wants to do. And if you guys give me authority for that, then as soon as I hear from them, we'll set the hours and we'll get this thing advertised out. And I don't know what the vendors will think, because that was really the main reason why we trimmed the hours. But again, it goes back to the underlying issue. Like, the reason why they wanted to close early is because there weren't people here. In theory, there'll be people here and it should be what they want to see. So I think it's important that you guys set what the fair hours are. Yes.
Even though the park was open so late, the fair closed on
The carnival's open till 10. Well, the fair's open till 10 on Friday and Saturday currently, but it closes early on Wednesday and Thursday. So it would be those extra 2 hours that they would have to operate over the week.
So we want to be, question is for us to be open till 10 every night of fair, or is it just?
Till 9 on Wednesday and Thursday.
Are you thinking that it would be 11 though on Friday, Saturday?
No,
10 across the board.
I'm thinking it's 10. Yeah.
Carnival in the past has stayed open later than the actual fair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't think that they need to be in Buckhead, do that.
I don't think that across the street.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
In years past, when the carnival was here and I had a cottage being here, it was 10, even with the carnival.
Yeah.
Like throughout every day.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
10 fair.
I think that would be fine across the board with the vendors, and then if the carnival wants to do until 11, Friday, Saturday, is that?
If they want to keep running, if they've got people riding rides, yeah.
That's
So does someone want to make a motion in regards to that?
We had enough trouble keeping full vendors here Saturday.
Yeah.
Till 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, it's like, you're gonna enforce the stay till close. Saturday was the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Because people wanted to pack up and leave. So staying till 10. Like, that's, enforcement was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully this addresses that underlying issue of why they wanted to leave, because they felt like it was slow.
No people.
Um,
It's going to.
Going to change dramatically.
I don't know.
I don't think most of them were like, they want, like, they're on to their next gig.
Yeah.
That was the conversation. Or they were an hourly employee, like, I'm gone.
Right.
When did the auction get over last year?
Started at 4.
Yeah, it was like 8:30.
We started at.
Hopefully there's not so many other people.
Was it 4? Okay, the year was 2, the year before was 2?
Yeah.
You know, before that was like rain or.
Okay, I will work with,
If you're gonna have a enforcement, you're gonna have to. Day, it was already difficult enough.
I mean, I think,
Yeah, it will be very different this year.
yeah,
As a vendor who's done this before, it will be very good.
Yeah, I just worry about letting them go before the auction's over. On people in the auction. Sessions.
Yeah. I mean, I think we say 10 and then we do our best, but I think they will see the benefit it's in, and if they don't, then we revisit that next year.
and I mean, if they're leaving, they just shouldn't be coming back.
But they're gonna leave, I mean, yeah, they're gonna leave.
And hopefully there's significantly more participation. I mean, we've been doing good the last 3 years. We've been growing with the vendors that have been coming to our fair. So hopefully with this Carnivac, it's just even more. And without having all those extra activities out here, it's going to be even more room for potential vendors. Which is key why we've got to get this application out.
Yeah, so if someone wants to make that motion, or if someone wants to make it with any adjustments.
I make a motion to set the 2026 fair hours ending at 6 p.m. every day.
Yeah.
For vendors.
But allowing
And working with the carnival on their clothes.
Carnival.
All right, we had a second, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, fair planning meeting,
Yeah, so at the last meeting, we kind of made some assignments. I don't recall what they were off the top of my head. I'd have to go through these minutes. I know Abby was on sponsorship, but do we want to dial in this some more, or do we want to set a meeting in the next couple of weeks that we really talk about the fair and get this going so we can book the rest of the entertainment and services and all that?
We need a separate meeting.
So is there particular dates that work well for you all?
Not next week.
Yeah. It definitely chilled down quick.
Well, I have a general question statement.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have these extra meetings, talk about before, also from today's conversation, people don't come prepared, it's really disrespectful to the rest of the board. So if we're gonna have a meeting and we consider what is expected by each individual, and then what they have prepared, and then for this. We've had a number of special sessions last year, and again, a lot of it was like still not prepared. We're all really busy. Yeah, I'm doing myself, so it's like, it's really disrespectful if you come in here and you're still on. Then we're all like scrambling and putting it through time during the meeting, which.
I would say from my side, like trying to get some solid direction from you all on these things so that we can get this stuff locked in over the next 2 months. And then for the next 4 months, we're working on, logistics and marketing and sponsorship and all of those pieces.
okay, so do we wanna do a meeting with everyone, special meeting with everyone, all the groups in January? Is there a date that
Well,
works for
that's some of the discussion too, I think, is does it make sense to have the board kind of meet first and
That's what I'm.
yeah,
Our groups.
yeah.
I think that.
Let's have the calendar up there.
So does anyone have any dates that does not work for them or that does work for them? Do we wanna do the 22nd of January or is that too far out?
Next week is out for me.
That's a Thursday.
That 22nd is fine.
22nd?
Yeah.
Five.
Hey, and
Okay, do we wanna do 5 o'clock here?
Yep.
All right, so January 22nd at 5 o'clock.
yeah. And I'd say generally we're looking for, this was how the discussion went last meeting, instead of trying to make this committee with multiple people, trying to coordinate multiple sessions. Just get kind of one of you to take the lead on a particular thing and then we can work through those things and report back to the board.
Okay, so what do we wanna come with prepared on the 22nd?
Which of these positions you want to do, which I know we had, and I can look at what we talked about last week, but I know we had Abby on sponsorships.
I thought John said something about marketing and advertising.
Thought I was,
Yeah.
Okay,
It's in the minutes.
yeah,
The sponsorship coordinator, Abby and Mallory, non-music, Miss MJ. Advertising, non.
Is it in there?
It's in the minutes. It's like just a few pages back.
Okay, get it.
And then security and campus and soul. And of course.
and so just kind of thinking, we'll kind of go through the fair in these sections and then getting who's set on each of these particular things. But like this was some of the conversation with Abby last week when she came in. It's like, okay, well, like, well, what's my authority now? Like, are we just making these decisions so that we can move forward with items? And I mean, that's kind of what the goal for the next meeting, I think, would be, is that knowing that who's ever in this role has a good sense of what the rest of you want, so that we can just start moving forward with these things, and we're not having to wait 6 weeks or 4 weeks to be able to make some decisions on some of the stuff. We can get it booked and we can get these things rolling.
Last year, did, meeting for people, met with Kyle, talk about last year, what needs to be done this year, or what are some of the key deliverables? Few dates on them.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have anyone on concert or no?
I don't recall.
I brought that up because last year we had a concert. And there was some prep work, but there wasn't a significant amount. That was who indigenous who's on the who are the acts or the opening act. I think that was came to the board for a decision. There wasn't really a lot that was done as a committee.
Yeah. And then with the concert, it's really more like getting prepared for the work that has to be done at the show.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I mean, is like, we just want to stick with Brittany and I being those main people and making things happen, since we both know what's going on and people and.
It seems to make sense to me. I haven't had any conversations with Brittany on what she wants to do, but I'm assuming she'll want to be. Yeah.
Hired now.
Yeah, yeah, and she knows everyone, she knows the ins and outs, she knows all the things to do with it. So if everyone's comfortable with that, I'm happy to be the person to kind of relay information with her too, so.
Yeah, I thought that's what we kind of talked about last week.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing from the concert, you know, that we need to figure out something different for checking. More from scanners, so that was.
Yeah. The technology issue.
That was.
You know, there's gonna have to be some work, and some of this is really what vendors are available and what Eric says will fly with the act. But we have to figure out a different stage setup, and I have quotes for that. I mean, I've got some of that stuff already in the works. We just need to see what we can do.
My comment was that they last year, and then a lot that was already decided to do.
So which other ones not?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that figured out, everyone kind of has an idea of what they can bring to the table at the meeting on the 22nd.
I'll review these minutes from the last meeting because I didn't.
It's on page 4.
And then I'll fill out this form and I'll send it to you guys for you guys all to review and say, this is what I understand who was said in these, and we'll find out where we still have holes.
Okay. All right, if we move on, we've got the finance report, if someone would like to,
Sorry, it's really
what was
tiny.
that? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just after that.
Yes, so with this, you know, every 2 weeks I have a meeting with all the managers at the county, and Amanda brought up that the county commission has interest in providing a letter of support for FFA as the legislature opens up. So they've drafted a letter. The conversation was, you know, Fair Board and the county board have a separate letter, or the Fair Board and the county join. I felt like it made the most sense to just have a joint letter. It's cleaner. It's basically going to say the same thing. So combined together, if you guys are good with this draft, we can get the signatures attached to this, and when the county approves it.
I move that we approve that draft letter.
Okay.
Do we have a second? Okay, all in favor? And all those?
And so all I will need is and we can do it before you two leave. So the rest of the board, I already have like on a white sheet of paper, their signature that we just input in. And so I'll just need to get that for you two. And then they can, if this comes up in the future, they can just affix your signatures into the document.
Okay, anything else on that? All right, finance report, we have a, approval on that. Motion.
And usually I try to get this to you a little bigger. This came really last minute. I think the finance director was on vacation the last week and a half. And so I got it like right as I was finishing this packet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion. Okay, we have a second? Oh, sorry, and all in favor? All right, all vote. All right, motion carries. Do we have anything for the good of the order? Joel?
Regular,
Uh,
kind of.
you need Lori?
Yep.
I can do it for you.
And then if anyone else has any input on parking down there, I am for much input like, or even information on whose names I get and contact information, I contact them. I want it to be good to go. I don't want there to be any.
I think I can send you a message. I think probably Tom, Matt, Tony, it may be, why can't I think of his name right now?
Okay.
No. Lori's son-in-law. God, why can't I not think of his name? Nathaniel. Yeah,
Oh.
Nathaniel.
I was gonna talk to Dan last, see, after I talked to people to see like, is he already done down there, or is he still, I don't know.
So we did the work. I mean, it's pretty much done, but it'll need to be kind of once over again once it dries out. No, it's way too wet.
Someone's gonna bring that
Yeah, well, once it starts drying out, we have a bunch that we'll have to level out. It's hopefully we can move whatever's left. Like down there, there's really not spoils, but they were just kind of spread out and it was rough because it was so mucky. We may even be able to just like drag the box grader over it and it might be enough to take the crust off. And then with all the moisture and wetness this year, once it settles back down after the season, it's smoother than it was, that's for sure. But it's yeah, that's the goal. And then if we have to rent something, we will. Yeah, hopefully it's we actually gained quite a bit on this east side. We probably gained 50 feet of space in situations because there was just a big berm there from when they cleaned the ditch out last. So there was 50 feet of area in between where the ditch was and the field was that it's been leveled out. Yeah. 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 I'd say it's not necessarily good of the order, but I did forget to mention that week of Christmas when we had all those power surges, our walk-in fridge went down, and so those parts are on order. The chamber and the working watershed events are next weekend, so I did call today to follow up with them on scheduling. He said, "Let me get in touch with our scheduler and I'll make sure the date, but you need it by the 15th." I said, "Well, the event's on the 15th." So we're working on it. Hopefully I hear back from them tomorrow. I don't know what our backup plan will be if they say that it's impossible, but it may end up being trying to find some refrigerators. And the chamber will be here tomorrow or Thursday to talk about the event for next week. So, if there's something that we have to figure out, we still have time to figure out a solution if it's not up and running. But I'm anticipating it being ready. They said it would only take 3 days to order the parts. So now it should just be their scheduling.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adjourning.